joining, of course, here with Jeff. Had to hop on a video. Crazy stuff happening in the world, both economy and politically. Jeff, how are you? First things first.
I'm doing well, Jason. How you doing, pal?
Yeah, good, good. I know we were talking about the Leafs. They might win a playoff round this year. Hurts me to say, but let's dive into it. Look, we got to do Russia, Ukraine first. So give me the Jeff views.
Yeah, as much as it's a terrible thing. Listen, I mean, watching Putin just go in and do what he's doing in Ukraine is a disgusting event, disgusting. But having said that, it's I see a lot of people supporting, the Ukrainians and saying, yeah, stand up, get your guns and go out there and fight. I hate to say it, but in my opinion, you're only sending people to their deathbed. If they think that Ukraine can actually defend against the USSR, that's a huge mistake. I mean, and again, I hate saying these things, but there's no doubt, Russia's going to come in and just carpet bomb, Ukraine in the coming days. It will be over. The country will be reduced to rubble. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't really care if any infrastructure is left. He wants to build his own place. And but to sit there and think that so many people are being told, it's a great idea to hang back and fight for your country, and look at the weapons. Most of these guys, they got a knife in their hands and they're fighting, a Russian guy that's got like an AK-47. Like, it's an unfair battle from the very beginning, and it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And, at some point, I hope the Ukrainians kind of say to themselves, wow, I think we have to wave the white flag and either leave the country, surrender, whatever it is. But I'd hate to see millions of people get slaughtered. I just hate to see it. And that's what I think that's going to happen. And it's going to happen quickly. It's going to take a short period of time. And every night you can see it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, interesting. So you say, timeline wise, I mean, everyone wants to know. So what's your timeline? And then, give me
Yeah, I literally think that by Monday morning, when they wake up and they've had their, Sunday carpet bombing, I literally think people are going to wake up and say, whoa, we can't defend this stuff. And hopefully the media stops telling, advising, the Ukrainian people, yeah, you're doing a good job. Pick up that gun and fight. Like, who are they to tell them what to do? And it's very disturbing. I mean, if the Ukrainian people are making that choice on their own and amongst themselves, great. But if you watch the majority of the media, they're encouraging the Ukrainians to stay and fight. And in my opinion, that's, you've got to look at what are you facing? And they're not facing a battle that they can win at all. And anyone thinks differently is a lunatic. Putin hasn't unleashed 1/10 of what he could. And the guy, he is, everyone's saying, well, the guy's not got it all together, whatever. Listen, he's thought about what he's doing here for a long time. He's now implementing his plan, and it's going to move forward. His ego is so big, there's no way he's going to stop the show. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And again, I hate to even think about what that means, but it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about how the kind of ripple affects the rest of the world. I mean, obviously you're seeing it, with oil, you see it with a bunch of other things. But first, let's talk maybe, what do we see happening, Russia, all these sanctions, let's talk about those economic sanctions and maybe we carry that into the markets. I mean, the biggest one, or at least the one that got the most media attention, is them getting removed from the SWIFT, banking system.
Right.
Curious on what your take on that is.
Well, same thing again, Jason. I mean, Putin is not an idiot. You don't think that he didn't know that he would be removed from SWIFT? Like, you think that's something, I'm not saying you, but if people think that he didn't make and prepare plans for being removed from SWIFT, you're out of your flipping mind. So of course he's prepared. Listen, and you've also got to remember, there is no doubt that China and Russia are the best friends, best partners in the world at this moment. Their master plan is to take over and become the #1 force in the world. And if you don't sit back and understand that and realize that, you're making a big error. And and that's the way it's heading. And, China is going to help out Russia in every which way. And they're doing it now, and they're going to continue to do it. And, will the sanctions will it cause problems? Yes. But is it going to bring Russia to their knees? No. China is there to bail them out. And it's it's a partnership they've been, working on for quite some time. Listen, once Biden came in and they saw the weakness in him, they both said, "Hey, look who the new leader is. Are you ready to go?" And off they went. And we wrote about that in Internet Bull Report. I said, that's the end. I mean, unfortunately, America has spent spending way too much time thinking about how to be woke, not about how to defend the country and how to, how to maintain peace in this world. And you've got to be a tough guy. You've got to understand the lay of the land and geopolitics and understand, you got to have great, generals out there that understand warfare and everything. And it's, you don't have that today. And listen, I'm not making judgments here at all, but I know that and the rest of the people know that, the generals in the U.S. Army were spending the first 8 months of 2021, 9 months, working on, woke affairs for the Army. Did you ever hear them planning about how to protect America in case China or in case Russia, starts doing some things like invading Ukraine? Did you ever hear any of that? No. What you did hear about was all the other stuff, which, and now they're paying for it, and they're going to pay handsomely for it.
That's interesting. I think I'm not as educated on it, but I'll say a lot of people don't know there's Swift has a massive competitor also run from China, and their banking system is growing incredibly fast in comparison. So I think people, they're off Swift, it's done. I think there's another system, and maybe this is good for the growth of that Chinese banking system. So part of me thinks you're kind of advancing another card elsewhere in the world. So questionable. But let's talk about oil. Obviously, talk of the town, only thing that's green everywhere, and gold. But let's talk about oil. I mean, what do you see happening in oil? We've talked about, are we going to see over 110, 120? Well, we're over 110, so that was a quick 2 weeks. I guess the question now is, now what?
My answer is the same as last time. Who knows? Maybe it goes to 150 here. I mean, it could continue to go higher as it has. Uncertainty in markets is what people hate. America, again, how they turned off all their oil, they went from being, self-sufficient and a massive producer to what they've done to appease the, environmentalists. And I get it. It is a good thing to think about and to implement, some green ideas for the environment. I get that. I don't think you'd find any people that would argue against that. That's why I love Tesla. I love what he's done. Amazing. And we'll get there, and we'll have many more of those types of companies, electric batteries and stuff. Amazing. But you just don't make the dumb decision all of a sudden to take US from where it was with oil down to where it is now, having to import from Russia. Like, what's wrong with this thinking? And yet here you had Biden give, the State of the Nation the other day. Did he even mention that? Of course not. Like, he mentions that he's digging into the inventory. We're going to release, how many barrels did he release? It's nothing. It's like 2 days worth of oil or something, right? Yeah. And he did it once before. And the funny thing was, the next day, I guess it was, that oil spiked, $8 right after his speech, and gas was up. Gas was up in California like 45 cents a gallon, and the very next day. And this thinking has got to stop. It is out of control. There are times that are appropriate to be thinking, green and stuff, and that's great. But obviously now is not the time. America's got to get their act together. They're in the middle of something that is a massive problem. And if they don't understand that, I've always said they're going to take themselves down to a third world nation. Look at Kamala Harris, and I mean, she was made fun of when she went to, where'd she go, Germany or whatever it was, and gave that speech, and she gets up there and says, "Hey guys," and everyone's like, "Hey guys, excuse me, like,
Yeah.
hello," and she, whatever came out of her mouth, she couldn't put together one sentence. Absolutely an embarrassment. And that's why the rest of the world is saying, huh, seems like we can do whatever we want because we're not going to get in trouble. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
It's a time of questions, lots of uncertainty. And I guess, I mean, the question, talking about markets, Russia moves into the Ukraine. Let's just say, for sake of the hypothetical, that this all happens in the next couple of weeks and they take over the Ukraine. What happens to the general markets? If you had capital on the side and you're watching this unfold, are you a buyer? Are you selling things? Or what is Jeff as the trader doing?
So I would look for, kind of the white flag being waved by the Ukrainian people saying, we give up here. Here's the country. And at that point, you got to be a buyer of the market. And that point is not far away. I mean, I know it sounds bizarre, and I hate to think that, making money and taking advantage of that situation over, a terrible piece of history. But, if you're in that game and you want to pick a bottom, the uncertainty would certainly be gone. Russia's come in, they've taken Ukraine, they may try and take a couple other small countries, but that part's now gone. And that's always when you want to be buying stock.
Yeah.
When all the bad stuff's happened and the uncertainty is out of the picture, you buy stock, and over time you're going to do extremely well.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And then this leads to another question of, because of all this, everyone's thinking, oh, our interest rate's going to happen? Are they going to go up? If they don't go up, this would be great for markets. But, Canada just raised theirs, as I know we were chatting
Yeah.
just before we started. Curious on what you think, for people that are saying, oh, this might kind of remove interest rate hikes, at least for the short term, off the table. Curious what your
Yeah,
take
I
is.
don't see that at all. I see, Jason, that there's just so much money in the system that's been flooded into the system by the U.S. government. I mean, trillions of dollars have been put into the system. These are dollars that were created with nothing, absolutely nothing behind them. Someone's got to pay the piper on that. The dollar at the moment, in my opinion, is overvalued. It is going to, it's going to need propping up, and that's where the U.S. interest rates will come into play, and they'll be needed to keep the dollar floating up. Otherwise, it'll get crushed. I mean, like I said, the real value of the dollar is certainly not where it is now. It's lower.
I think Elon is definitely poking the U.S. government to mention Tesla more. I mean, it's
Oh, I know,
funny
it's nuts.
the amount that Biden likes to talk about GM and
Yeah, I know.
others, and completely avoid Tesla is incredible. And I think
It's 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 disgusting.
well, there you go. That's Tesla, 855. I mean, doing okay. 900
Oh, okay.
900 billion market cap still. So
So with Tesla, you've got again, me, I've always loved it, love the stock, love him, great entrepreneur. Company's heading in the right direction, amazing things happening. Um, and it always frustrates me when Biden doesn't mention Tesla. He mentions Ford and others, and then Elon gets pissed off, and he should. He's created so many more jobs, so much more capital, and there's this thing about Elon that they all hate, and they don't mention his company, and it's immature, to say the very least. The immature behavior, not to mention Tesla, the company, and the brilliance behind that company. So, you know, I don't understand that mentality by, the current government, and it's nuts. So, but anyway, Tesla, still love it. Absolutely love it.
good. I mean, let's talk Facebook a little bit. I mean, what happened since
Oh, you
their
mean
drop?
Meta?
Yeah, sorry, yes, Meta.
Meta. Yeah, Meta. So, they've I think, like we spoke about last time, they've got to come up with what their new plan is, and people need to understand it. And much like any equities markets in any place. It's all about the uncertainty of what is Meta. We all knew what Facebook was, generally speaking. You get on, you got a profile, you do your thing, and you share information, and they have ads that they put up against it, and that's where they're making the big money. Now you've got people that don't understand what Meta is.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it really hasn't changed that much at the moment. It's not a 1 month project. It's a bunch of years ahead of it. But investors hate that. If they don't get it, they're out of there. And that's what they've done.
Yeah.
They,
No,
they've
it's
exited.
interesting, and I agree with you. They're 5 years
Yeah.
out. I mean, maybe sooner, but let's just say it's 5 years and a lot of
Yeah.
uncertainty, and that's kind of what the company definitely added to the plate. Here
Yeah.
we, gold. I guess we could chat about. Obviously, acting pretty similar to oil, but do we want
Yeah.
to chat about gold a little bit and what's
Sure. I
your
mean, gold, as you know, I've always said the same thing. I'll say it again. I've always loved to have a little bit of gold in the portfolio as a nice stable piece of something that you can trust is not going away tomorrow, and it performs well. I mean, I'm not expecting anything nuts from gold, but it's always good to have a little bit in the portfolio. And if you look at it in the last, I don't know, year, it's performed pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's just good to have a little bit in the portfolio. I can sleep well knowing that you've got that. It's not going to zero tomorrow.
So definitely agree. I think gold really still acting as a safe haven. I mean, let's talk Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's got a crazy two factors. Not
Yeah.
only the inflation factors, it's got Russia being removed from this, Swift banking system factors, which clearly people think is good for Bitcoin. I'm curious on what you think about Bitcoin right now.
My favorite. So Bitcoin, I mean, it's made a nice recovery from when it hit down at 33, I think last week or whatever. And that's the thing about Bitcoin. I've always said, we've always chatted about this. If you're into trading this thing and you want to have a little bit of fun, but not put all your eggs in the basket, but maybe 5-10% of your portfolio, and that's what you like to do, then go ahead. But be prepared to lose almost all of it. Because you can get whipsawed on this thing and make the wrong call and get stopped out on an order, and bingo, your money's gone. And
Yeah.
that's the issue is people put a stop on it, and that stop gets taken out so quickly because it goes from 55 down to 33 in a matter of whatever it took, a month. That's one hell of a kick in the ass. But on the upside, look where it is now. So what if you were short Bitcoin last week thinking it was going to zero? Well, now you're getting in trouble the other way. So if you want to trade it, have fun. It's there. Would I invest in Bitcoin? Nope, never have. Never invested in it. Traded it, yes, but never invested. I would never recommend to anyone. It's part of a portfolio to be an investor in. It's something only to have fun with.
Jeff is a big Ethereum guy.
Well, we did. So funnily enough, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, whatever, we did buy some for fun. And yeah, but again, I always tell you that, like, just bought some for fun, just to see. And we actually traded it, did okay, had some fun, and that was it. But again, it's not something I kind of, put in the portfolio and say, well, got to have a ton of this on the books,
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I mean, crypto obviously still around. I think this conflict stuff really makes it interesting conversation for, hey, are you seeing people move assets when, I mean, you had the Russia, this is something we didn't talk about. You had the Russia stock market down 50%
Yeah.
and stopped trading for a couple of days. This is the second or third day that they've closed trading. What's your take on that, I guess?
Amazing. I mean, if I would certainly look to be a buyer.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably some serious upside, but you do need to be nimble. You need to do your research. There are a bunch of ETFs out there that you can buy, but I do think there are some stocks that will come out, trade. They'll trade down probably again, but look at the ruble. Look where that thing's trading.
Yeah.
Not that I would buy some rubles, but there are some great Russian, I hate to say this, but there are some great Russian companies that are seriously trading at massive discounts at the moment. And, this happened once before, not too long ago, and many billionaires were made by owning these equities when they got kicked in the teeth.
Yeah. Interesting. Good take. I would also think I'd be a buyer, but definitely got to do your research and,
Yeah.
you know, like always, got to pick the good ones. Interesting. What haven't we chatted about just yet? Anything else market related? We've done the usual, the Tesla. Talked about Facebook or Meta. Sorry, done Bitcoin. Anything else on your list?
No, I mean, I mean, we'll talk about M2 Bio in a second, but we'll finish off with M2 Bio. But the only thing I've had a lot of people asking me, the last week or two, what do you do in the markets? And I just say to people, like, shit like this happens. Markets go up, they go down, they correct, they find new levels, they go higher, they go lower. That's what a marketplace is. So if you're not in need of the capital, right? If you're not, so stretched out, which is a position you should never be in the first place. So if you're not overly, leveraged, and you don't need the money and you're owning, some shares and some stuff that have been, kicked in the teeth. I mean, some of these things you might want to have a second look at, like maybe Meta or whatever, but you just got to hang in there. If you own good quality stocks, just like I've always said, some of the good banks and some of the good, food companies, Nestle, like these companies are not going away ever. Not that they're not going away ever, but they're solid brands that make solid products. So are they having a bit of a difficult time challenge at the moment? Yes. And that's where if you had a bit of powder that was dry, you got to buy these things. And I mean, look at the biotechnology sector. It'd be a good segue into M2 Bio, but
Yeah.
I mean, some of these stocks have just been hammered. I mean, hammered, down 60, 70%, and nothing's changed, and some of these opportunities, in my opinion, are just massive wins. You just got to have the patience and wait them out and not look at the flipping market every 2 seconds. Like, funnily enough, my job, of course, was in the marketplace many moons ago. I mean, that was my job, was to understand the market, look at the market, study it. But my job now is to run a company. Yes, we're a publicly traded company, but people ask me, whoa, your stock was down 10%. Like, was it? Like, I don't know. I don't look at it. I don't look at it every 10 seconds, every hour, every day. Quite frankly, I may look at it twice a week. Like, I'll look at it on the weekend, on
Yeah.
Saturday morning. Hey, how did we do? And then I'll probably look at it Monday or Tuesday. Like, I don't have a stock watch or any of that stuff that I used to have. It's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on building the company. If my job was to focus on building a share price, well, then I'd be in a totally different game. I would be in the game that many of these so-called psychedelic companies are in, which is simply pumping up the price of their stock. And that is not the game we're in. And we're here to build a company, and I think we're doing an incredible job. And so that's a good segue into where we're at.
Yeah, well then let's dive into it. But definitely agree with you. A lot of CEOs definitely care a little too much about their stock price today and not what it might be in 6 months. And oh,
Totally.
we've got a wall here, we got this, we got that. I mean, you hear these guys talk about it all the time, and it's like, why
Yeah.
worry about stuff not going
Yeah,
to
it
affect
is
you in
what
the
it
next couple
is.
months?
I've always said one thing I can hang my hat on since 2018 when I joined the company. Number one, never taken a salary. Number two, never sold a share. I have no common shares. And what more can I say? Go
Yeah.
find me someone else that's done that and invested their time and money into the company. Not one. Guaranteed.
So let's talk. Let's dive into M2 Bio. So here, like, go for it. Give me some recent updates. I know you guys have had a bunch of press in the recent couple weeks. I think
Yeah.
I saw some coffee stuff. I saw some other stuff.
Yeah.
Where do you want to
So,
where do you want to pick up?
you know, what's interesting is as we grow, I'm fascinated by when I meet people that say, I met a guy yesterday that he's a fund manager out of New York. And he says to me, wow, he goes, man, you have got a lot of stuff going on. I thought about it and I said, man, I hear that a lot. I said, yeah, we do. And then he said, so can you tell me a bit about, this and that? And I said, sure. And then it always brings up, for me, it's like, oh yeah, but hang on a second. We also do this. And then it's like, but hang on a second. I forgot. We also have the sustainability packaging division, where we've made the first mycelium surfboards that we're shipping to Australia. Like, and well, but hang on a sec, I forgot. We also make, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, but hang on, I forgot this too. We also do this. And one of the things that it's not a secret really. Well, it's not a secret. One of the things that we're going to be launching soon, we'll make a press release out of it, but it's not that it's a secret. We will be having a ketamine lab down at the Hout Bay Labs. We'll administer ketamine by IV. And we'll also be administering all sorts of IVs to treat people for whatever conditions we can see after having, done deep blood work on the people. And that's all part of the Longevity and Wellness Center that we have down at Hout Bay. We're thinking, we'll be open in about 2 months' time. We have a doctor coming on board that we haven't announced yet. We have a bunch coming on board, but this particular one will be running that Longevity Center. And it's super, super exciting what we're doing down there. And I'm really pumped. We're doing all sorts of things unrelated to Neuri Life Sciences, which is the new company was spun out of M2 Bio, which is strictly drug discovery, drug design, headed up by Dr. Domingo. This is on the other side of the spectrum. So we've got one side doing a hardcore drug. The other side is using everything but that. Ketamine, yes, is obviously a drug, but in the other, the rest of the Longevity Center is all about different other ways of treating people with depression and things like that. So super excited about that. We will have some great press coming out on that soon. But it is funny, get back to my original kind of statement about the guy asked me, man, you got a lot going on. And we do. And I said to our staff recently, I said, man, we got to be proud of what we've done here, what we've accomplished here in the last year. And I look at the financials from these other so-called psychedelic companies and the amount of money they have blown. So all of them, three the other day that came out and announced their, their not earnings, their non-earnings. Some of them have blown like 35 million this quarter on media, and like, hello? Like, have you ever thought about spending the money on the research? Dude, it is nuts. I've been saying this since day one. It continues to be nuts, and there'll be many more. I said on our last meeting that many of these companies will not be around by the end of this year. And mark my words on that.
Definitely agree. There's a lot of money these guys spend that is not advancing the business. And I think you're starting to see a lot of people clue into that. Obviously, psychedelics had their year and a bit. But definitely you're seeing people go, okay, well, you raised 100 mil and what's happening? So yeah. Definitely agree. We don't need to name names, but that's awesome. And
no,
I think
totally.
You guys should give yourselves a solid pat on the back. It'd be good to do a recap video, maybe M2 Bio year in review type thing we can do in the coming couple weeks.
That's a great idea. So our earnings will be out, not that we have, earnings, but not that we have, well, I guess small loss, very tiny loss, but we'll announce those, I guess, March 31. So we will actually announce them at the end of the quarter. And that would be a good time to do a good catch up. I'd love to do that because then I can get deeper into a lot of the information that we will be making public soon. Awesome. And I look at the talent that we've brought onto the company. So listen, look at Dr. Domingo, who right now is in Boston. He's at Harvard. He's doing his fellowship. He finishes in a couple weeks. He's known as, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the U.S. State Department covers him as the next Elon Musk of biotechnology. Like, here we are, a little tiny company, M2 Bio, Neuri, being able to attract that type of talent.
Insane.
And it is insane. Thank you. And wait till you see, the doctor that I just mentioned, the one that will be down the Longevity Lab, so that'll be announced soon. But on the drug discovery side with Neuri, wait till you see the first guy. So there are about 5 or 6 big names coming aboard. And when I say big names, I'm talking top 50 rated people in the world in drug discovery. Top 50. And it's not like Jeff Robinson saying top 50. These are the top scientific journals that will say that particular doctor is one of the most influential top 50 drug discovery doctors in the world. And here are the reasons why. These guys, are, I can't stress enough, these are extremely brilliant people. And who are we? We're just a little tiny company, but it's all coming together.
This
And
is
I
going to be
haven't.
an incredible update in a month when we do this.
It
When we do
is,
that call.
and what I'm so proud of too is we actually have less shares out now than we did a year ago, and we haven't gone out and raised 100 million, 200 million like some of these other guys and blown it all. We've raised nothing. I haven't got the money that goes into it is money internally from a few shareholders. There's no toxic debt or any of that stuff. It's just we believe in what we do, and it's always been that way.
You don't see
said,
enough of that these days. So
no, and
incredible.
I've always said that we keep our head down, we do the hard work. By the way, our fourth paper should be out any day soon, and we keep our head down, and that's again is a peer-reviewed scientific paper coming out, and there are 2 more behind that. But we keep our head down, we do the hard work, and we deliver. And if I keep on delivering with my team, at the end of the day, that's what shareholders want to see. They shouldn't be concerned, not just in our company, but in any company really, is the stock price 40 cents or is it 48 cents today? Who cares? It's not about what it is today or tomorrow. It's where's it going to be in a few years? What are you going to deliver?
Everyone who's made the most money has been long for a long period of time.
Totally.
Please be patient. So definitely agree with everything you're saying. We've got a spicy next couple, weeks to months coming. Obviously, we'll do that update, and we'll sit here and we'll watch what happens with Russia and Ukraine. I'm sure we're gonna get a ton of questions, and I guess we'll do another video if we think things advance enough.
Amazing.
Incredible as always. Jeff, thanks for joining.
Thanks, Jason. A quick update. I'll be off to London in a week. I'll be attending the Master Investor Show again with Dr. Bailey and Jim Mellon and the crew. I'm looking forward to seeing them again. I saw them back in November when I was in London, and always hot and spicy meetings to be had there. And that's what I was going to say about Riyadh, by the way. So after he finishes the fellowship on March 12th, he will be in New York and Boston for a week meeting with a bunch of funds and a bunch of biotechnology companies. So there is a ton of great stuff happening. I'm excited as hell. And I think it's amazing. It's a testament to the strength of our team that we're able to pull these things off, being such a tiny little company at the moment.
Insane. Well, hey, lots of teasers for people to kind of, buckle in, and let's see where we are in a couple of weeks. But Jeff, thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Jason.